Through my early years in West Philadelphia, we went to a school called Heston, and there I learned music therapy, music harmonies. This is something that we were studying, and I got interested very, very young. I was like maybe 7, 8, like that. And this is something that carried on through all my junior high school, high school. I was always in the glee club. I was always singing. I was making harmonies. And then in the meantime, when we were home, we always had a group. What we did was, we used to go out to the schoolyards and all the groups in the neighborhood, because you have a fantastic echo in the schoolyard. So what we did, we would get there, we'd take turns with the echo and just rehearse like that. And this is something that, it was many, many groups in Philadelphia that didn't have records at that time. So this was before the record time. We would be doing record hops. We would be doing, not record hops, we would be doing cabarets. We would work in the local clubs. We would be working, all types of venues, before we had records. And it was a very exciting time. And we went to California to record an album for Warner Brothers. And we spent maybe 2 or 3 years in California recording, but our roots were always based out of Philadelphia. We based our business out of Philadelphia, and we still do.
I grew up in Philadelphia on a street called Funston Street in West Philadelphia. I went to school at Overbrook High School. There I met this tall, handsome young man by the name of Wilbert Hart. I thought he was just the best. And he asked me out. He gave me a dime and said, at that time, we used payphones, call him at 7 o'clock. So I said, why at 7 o'clock? He says, because at 7:30 we have rehearsal. I said, rehearsal for what? He says, well, I'm in a singing group, and we rehearse every night at 7:30. So if you call me at 7 o'clock, we can talk till 7:30. And that's how I met him, going to Overbrook High School. I was in the 10th grade, he was in the 11th grade, and we became boyfriend and girlfriends, and we later married. And from that union, we have 9 children and 19 grandchildren.
Well, we started, like you said, out of West Philadelphia. We had a manager, his name was Stan Watson. In other words, Stan met Wim in the barber shop one day, and what happened was they were talking about music and everything, and Wim let him know that he had a group. The music scene in Philadelphia was very exciting around that time. We had a label called Philly Groove Records. We had a label called Philly International, and we had a group called The Intruders. We had a group called the Delfonics, and we were like brother groups, kind of like, And in the beginning, we didn't have any records on the charts. Intruders did at first, and we were like, kind of very brand new to the recording part. The Intruders were there before us, but as time went on, we started recording and got some chart records right off the beginning. We had a record called "He Don't Really Love You" in the beginning, and this was our start.
I was laying in bed with my husband, and I heard his song come on the radio, and to me, it was funny. I said to him, "How can you be on the radio and you're laying here with me in bed?" Because I didn't understand at that time that that they had already recorded this music in the studio, and that it was the thing we were waiting for was to hear his song on the radio. And he didn't have to be at the radio station. So once I got the concept together, I understood that, my husband is on the radio and he's famous. So that's how we started with the Delfonics. And I began writing songs with him. He would tell me to get a pen and pencil. He'd get his guitar, and we go up in what we had called a psychedelic room in this room, he had fishnets in the ceilings, and he had all different kind of ornaments that he collected and had on the walls, and we painted it a psychedelic paint, neon color, means psychedelic colors. And we called that our psychedelic room, and he would go up in there and create his music. So I would sit there on the floor with pen and pencil and write the words as he strummed them out on his guitar. And from there, I started copywriting his music. I started filling out forms because for his protection, he needed to notify Copyright Office that he wrote these songs. And that's my involvement.
Yes, we recorded a record called, like I said, He Don't Really Love You. And this was a local hit, kind of like East Coast hit. And this brought us to like doing shows up and down the East Coast. We were doing record hops, we were doing all types of things, but just on the East Coast. And 2 releases later, we had La La Means we had You've Been Untrue, and then we had La La Means I Love You. La La Means I Love You was a type of record that just took off, you know. It was the kind of record that the DJs just loved to play. And this was like hitting the lottery for the Delfonics, because this instantly, California was calling, Chicago, all over the country, and it was a very exciting time, you know. La La Means I Love You was like, as far as our success point, this is where we started our, you know, our drive forward, kind of like, this was our success. Well, La La Means I Love You, that was our first million seller. And after that, we received many records, or many records from record companies that wanted us to record. Barry Mann sent us a record called When You Get Right Down to It. And after La La, we had 14 hits, chart records on the charts. And my role in the Delfonics were multicast. I did kind of everything, as far as uniforms, steps. We wrote, we produced, we did just about everything. And the members of the group at that time, there was Randy Kane, there was William Hart, Jerry Kane, and myself. And we used to, in the beginning, we used to rehearse at each other's homes 3 nights a week, religiously, 7:30, we would get together, and this is how we started our performing, you know, our group. We played all the theaters, but the Apollo Theater, the thing that stands out in my mind, we were at the Apollo one time with Stevie Wonder, and me and Stevie used to always go up to the piano. He would show me some songs that he was writing, you know, I kind of remember that. And I spent a lot of time with the Five Stair Steps. There was many groups that we traveled with. We did all the theaters in Chicago. We worked a Latin Casino here in New Jersey. It was all, we worked all the venues, and we traveled. And actually, I can't think of a group that was successful at that time that we did not work with. And we always had a good rapport with all of them, you know.
Yes, I traveled lots of times with the group, the Delfonics. We went to many special places like Germany and Japan and England, France. We went to the Bahamas. We traveled all over the United States. The Delfonics was the first group out of the city of brotherly love to actually become international performing group out of the city of brotherly love. And we were the first group to go national from Philadelphia, meaning national, meaning we had a hit record, which was La La Means I Love You. It sold over 1 million copies all over the world. And that made our touring pick up, and instead of just traveling inside the United States, we began to travel outside of the United States.
I think the thing that stands out in my mind the most is when we were in Chicago at the Regal Theater. It was a young group of boys who wanted to be on the show, and they didn't have any records out at that time, you know. We were starring the show, and the promoter wanted to put them on the show, but they didn't have any place for them to dress or anything like that. So we said, okay, put them on the show, and they can dress in our dressing room. And it just happened to be the Jacksons, right? We kind of like, at that time, we were trying to get them recording out of Philadelphia also, but we couldn't get, you know, our managers or anybody to really look at them right, you know. But we let them room with us there, and later on, like when I was in California, any place I met where they saw me, you know, we had a great rapport. You know, they would pick us up, you know, it was just a great thing. And Michael and his brothers, you know, they were really appreciative of what we did for them, because when they come to Philadelphia, they would stay at my house or they would stay at my brother's house, you know. And Sammy Davis Jr. was another situation that he wanted to manage us at one time. We flew out to Las Vegas at the Sands Hotel, and we had a long conversation, and we tried to, and he really wanted to manage us, but things didn't work out. That stands out in my mind. And Richard Townsend, there's many people that I've met and very impressed with and influenced me in, you know, in my decisions and what I'm trying to do in the record business.
I also attended the American Academy of Broadcasting, where I met Long John Wade. Long John Wade was disc jockey for WIBG, which was Wibbage out of the city of Philadelphia. He was instrumental in bringing the Beatles over here to America. And what he did was they booked the Delfonics over in England, and they gave England the Delfonics, and England gave America the Beatles. And from there on, we began to tour all the USO bases for Art Linkletter. We do all the Army and Navy bases and all the nightclubs over in Britain and Germany and France. And I did a lot of traveling with them as they did those kind of tours.
We used to, we used to go twice a year, and we would mainly go with the Four Tops. And we would do the London Palladium, we would do Nottingham. We were working with the promoters over there with the Four Tops. So we did many venues, and we did it was a club over there called the Bailey Club. It was a string of clubs all over London, and we would play these clubs. So we had in fact, that's one of my favorite places, you know, just for the fact that they could understand me and I could understand them. We go to Germany, we go to Paris. It was always a language problem, you know. But London was like being at home, you know, and we had a great time in London. The group actually split up around 71, 72 because of the fact that Randy Kane, he had a little problem, so we had to replace him with a member. His name was Major Harris. And Major was with us for a long time. Randy had left for like maybe 5 years. And we replaced Major with another guy out of Chicago. His name was Bruce Peterson. He was out of Chicago. You know, we worked around the country. A long period of that time, in 71, what happened was when Randy left the group, we were looking for another member. And so we were working like, you know, just two of us. We were working all over the country with, you know, and we were doing all right, but we were searching for that other person. When we got to Chicago, this is when we met Bruce. And we added him to the group, and back and forth, and it was, you know, these are some of the members that we had in the group. Quentin Tarantino used our song, Didn't I Blow Your Mind, in his movie, Jackie Brown. Well, actually it was actually a part of the movie when it turned out to be. It was, Quentin told us that we were one of his favorite groups, you know, and if he ever could do something, you know, to entwine us in what he was doing, he would do it. He told me this at the movie premiere of Jackie Brown. And actually, it was a big help for the Delfonics to be in a film like that, because it was like having a hit record again. Quentin was very nice to us, and we appreciate what he did. He wanted us to go to London. They had a premiere in London maybe a week after that. We couldn't work it out. But the music was actually a part of the film, and this was a very exciting thing for me just to sit down and watch that. We were there with all the actors. We met all the actors, and it was a very exciting time.
I met Samuel Jackson, who was also starring in the movie Jackie Brown. We met him at the movie premiere at Ziegfeld's in New York. My husband had to perform Did Not Blow Your Mind at the after party for the movie premiere. And I was sitting at the table with Pam Grier and Rosie Perez. We were all at the same table, and I found that very memorable, something for me to remember, because I was sitting right there with them as my husband performed. They were singing his song and doing his steps, and that made me very proud. I also met Ruben Studdard at a Martin Luther King celebration in New York, where my husband's group performed the national anthem. We also met and are friends with Don King, fight promoter, his son Carl King. They hired my husband to do the national anthem for HBO out in Las Vegas at the Chavez-Mildred Taylor fight. Also, my memories are of Muhammad Ali. His wife and I shared the same birthdays, Belinda Ali, and we used to babysit each other's children. We used to get invited out to Muhammad Ali's training camp up in Deer Lake, Pennsylvania. And at that time, I was in broadcasting school for Long John Wade at the American Academy of Broadcasting. And I took my camera crew up to the Muhammad Ali training camp, and I filmed him training. And from that fight, Muhammad's jaw was broken, I think by Ken Norton. And he had to sip food through a straw. And I remember being at his training camp with his wife, where we had to mash up the beans and pour them in a blender and make him bean soup. And he had to sip it out of a straw because his jaw was broke from that fight. And that was a very historical fight. And I was just proud to be able to be there and be with him and his family during those times. Okay, now I have written a book, and the book is called The Phonics Zone Memoirs. And on this picture, I have my oldest son, who was 3 years old at the time. This was the Did Not Blow Your Mind picture. My husband had taken my son with them when Arista Records did this famous photo of the Delfonics Did Not Blow Your Mind album cover picture. So this became mine because it's personal. It has my son on it. So I decided to use that picture as the picture of my book. And my book is called The Phonics Zone Memoirs. And what this book is not a blow-by-blow story, regular story. It's excerpts of my life and experiences that I experienced being the wife of an entertainer, through his hardships, through his successes. I've seen him laugh. I've seen him cry. I've been there for him for 43 years. And we have raised 9 children that have graduated from Rutgers University with master's degrees in education, public administration. So the children have now been taught by their father how to go in the studio and produce music, because he's an excellent producer, he's an excellent songwriter, and he's an excellent business manager. And so what we're doing now is managing our grandsons, and we're calling them the Golden Boys. So we're bringing them out as our first product, and we're also recording Will Hart as he tells and sings his songs his way, the Delfonics.
Listen, now you're hearing the headphones real nice. Everything is nice. Your tones are great. So now let's do the ad libs again.
Okay. No sunlight, no bright to the bank, bitch, swipe me for my credit cards. That's what happens when she running. Didn't do what she wanted.
Right now, we are actually in process of starting our own record label. We have our production company. It's called In the Game Productions. We're currently recording artists. We have our own artists, staff. We have the Golden Boys. We have Wilbert Hart and the Delfonics. And this is something we're pursuing right now. We're about to release some product on that. We have a website. It's set up. It's called In the Game Entertainment. And this is something that we're working on right now. And things look very good about this. Things look very good.